Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Welcome, everybody, to American Made and Paid. Thank you so much for joining us today. I got Professor Dreg with me. Really happy to be starting off this episode because we're going to change gears a little bit, kind of go back to business, talk a little bit about money making. Our last episode was about bringing personal finance, home economics, that type of stuff back into schools. And I think if there's one thing that's severely lacking in our current culture today, it's actually how to really make money. And I think that that's different from holding a job. Personal finance is not really something that people are oftentimes taught as often as we'd like. And a lot of people are very financially illiterate from what I've found, you know. I personally was taught a little bit of that as a kid growing up, how to make money, you know, job, that kind of stuff, save, that type of thing. But I had to seek out gurus and certain types of individuals that would really show me how money actually works. Because it's one thing to look at money from a frugal standpoint and save it and all that. And it's another thing to be able to actually expand on your income. So today's episode is a little bit different. It'll probably roll into some politics or religion like it naturally does. But I thought we'd kick off the top of the hour and talk a little bit about this. So Professor Dreg, how are you doing? Happy Monday. What's on your mind?
Hey. So yeah, I want to touch on with a little bit about we spoke about last time when we were talking about doing what's that called again, the home economics.
Yeah, we were talking about home ec.
And then you were saying like that should be done at the high school level, and I said, well, you should do it at the elementary, teach something like that when you're in the third grade because it's third grade math,
right?
And so anyway, and to prove something like this, I want to talk about how this couple who are, 70 years old using third grade math won about $26 million over a 9-year span playing the lottery. And the thing is like this, not in California, but in other state lotteries, they have something called a windfall.
Sure.
A windfall, I guess, payout. And I'm totally against the lottery because the lottery is literally a tax on the poor. Because who plays the lottery? The poor, because they're idiots. But if you know a little bit about third grade math and, something that you would learn in home economics, you could easily beat the system. Because if you match 3 numbers, they were paying out $50. I was like, wow, $50 just to match 3 numbers? That's easy. Like the odds of you matching 3 numbers is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if you match 4 numbers, you get $1,000. So this dude, he played like $3,600, and that's how much he spent on the lottery. And he did it all by himself because he figured, you know what, I'm going to test it out. Because if you buy in bulk, the more tickets you buy, the more chances you have at winning. $50. His goal wasn't to win the big jackpot of like matching all 7 numbers. Like, isn't it 6 numbers and a bonus number 7 numbers?
Yeah, something like that.
His goal was just to match 3 numbers. Get $50. It's a $1 ticket, so it's paying out 1 to 50. Right? Simple math. 1 to 50. All you got to do is match 3 numbers. So he spent $3,600. And he got back. Well, I think the first time he played was he put up $1,900 of his own money.
Sure.
And he ended up winning. I think he got like 3,000 something. And then like let's say 3,600 just for the sake of it. Right. And then the next, time the windfall came up again, he bet the whole 3,600. And he got $8,000 back. Oh no, $6,300 back. is what he
Right,
got.
right.
He almost doubled it. Almost doubled. And then he started working that system again and again and again and again. And that's how you do it. And basically he got, he was telling people what he did and why he did it. And everybody thought it was a scam. I was like, no way, you can't be doing this. He goes, yeah, I play to win the $50 tickets, not the big jackpot.
Right.
So I invest huge amounts of money. And he's getting like a 60% return off each lottery. He's not doubling his money, but that's pretty good. A 60% return once a month. That's insane.
By the way, I don't think either of us are advocating for our listeners to actually go play the lottery. I think that's the dumbest idea, but
no, you can't play. No, like, okay, so
that's
no. That's not the moral of the story.
Yeah. I just want to make sure they understand. Don't go play the lottery. But
yeah, no. Well, so check this out. So this is how I found out about this. Because somebody at work told me this, and then we're like, you got to be kidding. So anyway, so these kids from MIT came up with the same formula. Sure. And these are all math majors and all this other stuff. So anyway, so they start doing the same thing. So basically this old couple, I forgot what they called themselves, but they became an investment group where they got 30 people to give them money, and they were investing that money through their corporation. See, they incorporated. The couple became a corporation and had about 30 clients. And over that 9-year span, they literally made $26 million.
Wow.
Not a metaphor. This is literal. See, this is why you need to know basic math. Everybody needs to know basic math because this is real simple. The guys at MIT did the same thing, but since they're from MIT, playing the, Massachusetts lottery that way, they're wealthier. So they won like couple $100 million. And then so the FBI investigated. And then they investigated these dudes out of Wisconsin, like that old couple. And they were just astonished. They were like, oh my, like nobody's ever figured that out. But the only way it worked is the same way this podcast will work. You have to get other people involved. You know what I mean? Like we have, I don't know, I think last time you said there was like 100 people.
No. I mean, total listeners for all the episodes, for 50 episodes, we got over almost 8,000 people.
Okay, so let me put it to you like this. Those 8,000 people, see, we have to ask them and say, hey, look, you have to go out and just please send this podcast out to, like 5 people. Don't get greedy and say everybody.
I'm probably going to start doing that in the beginning. That's a good pitch. It's like, hey, guys, if you're listening to this and you enjoy it, send it to 5 people.
See, because this old couple didn't have the money to make 26 million, even if they were like nickel and diming it, putting
it's not enough to put in as an investment to get that kind of return.
Yeah, see, because that's the point. In order to make money, the first thing you have to do is come up with an idea that will make money. See, it's not just an idea. You have to prove it. And, mathematical ways to make money is the most solid.
Obviously.
It is.
That's how it works.
Yeah, because, I would have done it myself with this lottery thing, but I don't believe in playing the lottery because it's a tax. I'm not going to help the government, with the tax, you know what I mean? So it's just not, you don't want to do that. And plus it's a sucker's bet.
But there's no way.
But you know what they ended up doing? They got rid of all windfall lotteries. So you can't, like in California, it costs like $5 to play. And if you match 3 numbers, you break even. So, and then, like $100 is match 4, and that's a lot harder to do. So, but anyway, so the first thing you honestly have to do is come up with a good idea. And
a money-making idea that people
not just money-making ideas, but something that's like, you don't have to invent the wheel. Like my idea has always been and always will be liquor. Why? Because for 25, if you give me 25 cents, I'm going to, or if you give me $15, because it's in San Francisco, it's not, Anywhere else, I think it's like 10, 12 bucks. But in San Francisco, New York, LA, it's 15 bucks. So if you give me $15, I'm going to give you a quarter back. And that's way better than this guy's system or the MIT system of winning the lottery, because they were only getting 60% on their return. I'm getting in the hundreds in my return.
Right. By the way, what Professor Dreg is referring to is a Long Island iced tea. You didn't even mention that, but he knows how to make drinks at quarters to the dollar, so
yeah,
that's how it works.
And that's the truth. So it's like Long Island, Tokyo Tea, Electric, Iced Tea, Adios. This is an Adios, AMF. And that's the thing. You honestly have to do the math behind your ideas, because money is math. And that's what's not being taught at these schools. Because remember what we spoke about last, on Saturday was exactly that. Home economics. They don't even know how to balance a checkbook. So now you're talking about a whole bunch of kids who are in college and they don't know how to make any money because they don't have the math behind it.
Sure.
And when people think about making money, they don't think about the math behind it. They trust that the banker knows math. But these bankers don't have degrees either.
Well, they also don't. They don't really. A banker, like if you're talking about like a teller, they don't need to be trained to show you how to make money or anything like that. Because the thing is, the bank is a business at the end of the day. Why would they show you how to get more on your money when in reality they actually make more money off of?
And I will tell you why. Because like if I'm looking for an investor, and I'm big behind EB5 investments. So if I'm going to ask a dude for $1 million, I need to show him how I'm going to do it. I break it down for him. I'm like, hey, look, this is what it costs. I need $100,000 for leasing the building. I'm going to need another $250,000 for the construction build out. And then the investor always says, well, but how do I make my money back? And then I break down the math. And then I say, look, the reason why we're spending $350 on construction and the lease is so I can get capacity. If I have 2,000 people and 2,000 people are giving me, $40, that's $80,000 right there every single night that I have capacity, which is 3 nights a week. So 8 times 3 is 240. And I was like, look, if we're grossing 240 minus, 15% for taxes and, another, 20% for payroll and insurance and things like that. So I break it down, and out of that money for the week, our net profit will be this much money.
Right.
And then they say, yeah, but then how about this? How about that? And then I break it down. It's like, look, I'm going to spend a quarter on inventory. And with that inventory, I'm going to make $15 for every quarter I make. And the rest is profit. But then you have to deduct operational costs. And then when I show them that, and they go, wow, so 30% of our gross revenue is going into my pockets, like pretty much. And then in a certain amount of time you break even, and then a certain amount of time you double your money. And you have to know the math behind it.
It's funny how you say that, because, if we're going to talk about money making here, I was actually having this conversation with my dad yesterday for Father's Day. By the way, happy late Father's Day.
Oh yeah.
But also, one thing I wanted to say was that I just got off a call with somebody. I do sales calls, right? Part of the close. And when I say the close of being able to get someone sold on basically giving you their credit card over the phone for $5,000 or $10,000 comes down to that math that you're exactly talking about. Because what I say to them is like this: they go, hey, would it make sense on a $5,000 to $6,000 investment if you were getting this return? This is how we're going to do it next 4 months. So we're in June right now, right? By August, this is where you're going to be. By October, this is where we're going to be. Because the funny thing is, what actually gets these people, these investors, to make a decision to go with you is not because of the fact that they necessarily believe in you, but you actually worked out the math and you gave them the option. Because if you spring people with a cost and they don't know how that's broken up, it's not because they don't really believe in it, but in their heads, they're thinking, what is that number broken up into and what's my returns, right? But if you have it all laid out and you say, look, man, your interest is going to be 0%. You put this on a credit card. You know why? Because you're going to expect to see returns before interest kicks in. Or do it here so that the business is actually paying for itself. That's how I get people who are so bad with credit cards, either because they don't believe in it or they don't know how to use them, to actually use them. Not because I'm manipulating them, but I'm like, I mapped it out for you. And what you said with this plan to investors is the same deal, because it's still a deal that they have to go, yeah, I'm going to give Professor Dreg however much money to go help us with this. And these are the kinds of returns that we're expecting to get. My transaction that I do is no different, but you have to like spell it out for people, because if you don't do the math for them in front of them, they won't do it themselves and they won't do it.
Yep, exactly. Because if they're not comfortable, okay, so for me, because I don't go with loans, I never take loans. I'm like,
you just,
I only take cash. I only deal with cash only. So
that's
the second aspect for me would be the liability. So first they have to see how it works mathematically. And then the second part would be the liability part. Like, hey, how do I know we're not going to get sued and all this other stuff and get shut down by the police? But that has really nothing to do with what we're talking about. But going back to how to make money, that's real important, because see, now beyond the liability, the second thing is, just like with this old couple, playing the lottery system, they wouldn't have been able to do it unless they had those 25 people in their town giving them money to actually invest and play the lottery. And that's the second aspect. Even in a nightclub, just because you have a really good DJ and everything else, that's not enough. You need marketing. You need your group of people to spread the word. So like the 8,000 people who downloaded these podcasts, they need to spread the word in order for this show to grow. And that's real important, because that's probably the most important aspect of it, is the networking aspect, where the show can actually grow. And then people will be like, hey, you know what? If a certain amount of people are listening, blah, 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 blah. You know how it works with commercials and, as they say, monetizing, YouTube. But in the old days, it was just selling ads. And you couldn't sell ads unless you had a huge subscription base. And so like if this show grew to 100,000 subscribers, as they say, then people would really be interested in selling advertising to the listeners. And that's the thing. So it's like a lot of people are afraid to come up with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be unique ideas. Running a bar is not unique. It's been around since, God, I don't even know when the first bar opened up, but, pubs and bars have been around. It's part of American history. You know what I mean? Americana, the saloon in the old days, and the Western saloons. So my ideas are not unique. What these guys did with the lottery, it wasn't advanced math. It's just basic, third grade math. And they figured it out. It's like, yeah, the more tickets you buy, the better the chances are. So, they were buying, at their height of what they were buying like 300,000 tickets, lottery tickets. They never won the lottery. And, they would only match they never matched 5 numbers. They were always matching 3 and 4. It's just how it works. So, you have to have a real idea, any idea. It doesn't matter. I want to open up a car dealership. I want to do a podcast. I want to do whatever it is. Any idea that can be backed up mathematically is a good idea. Even if it doesn't have to be an original idea. What this podcast is not an original idea. There's tons of people already doing this. In fact, there is a lady from CNN. I'm not going to give her a plug or anything like that, but she quit her job at CNN, and she was working at CNN for 15 years, and now she's doing a podcast, YouTube. Like her YouTube channel only has about 6,000 subscribers. Her best video ever was about how she bought a house for like $47,000. And then her husband did all the work, blah, blah, blah. And they flipped it for like $80,000. That's her most popular video with 400,000 views.
Sure.
And then her second most popular one only has 12,000 views. And she was on CNN, and trust me, her viewership is nothing like yours. And even though they're demonetizing you, you're still doing better than her, because her videos only get like 700 if she's lucky.
Right. So
and she actually has big names on her YouTube channel.
Yeah. It's a different type of person. But how does this pertain to the average listener when it comes to money making purposes, with a step by step, not a job, but actually making money? Like,
well, see, but that's the point. Her best video was a video when she's breaking down how she spent 47,000.
oh, it's the math. It's the math behind it.
Yeah,
the math is what sells it.
Yeah, and people, they want that. They want to know how to make money. And I'm telling you now, the very first thing, if the listeners honestly wanted us to do this, we'll break it down for them. Email, Zach, have them email you all of their ideas, and we'll figure out how to make money with those ideas. It's not that hard, because there's three basic things you have to do. One, prove your idea mathematically, just like house flipping. How do you flip a house? And I'm not for that. I think flipping a house is not good, because how long does it take to flip a house?
Sales cycle's pretty long, 30 days, 60 days.
Well, but just build it, because this guy did all the work himself.
Right. Fun.
So it took these guys like maybe 2 years. It took them 2 years to flip a house. And that's a long time to flip. To double your money. That's a long time. Think about it. Basically, you're only talking about making $20,000 a year, because that's what they ended up making. That's nothing. So if you're going to wait 2 years, you could have got a job at McDonald's that did exactly the same. So, and that's the other thing too. Not all ideas. If the money's little, just get a job. Seriously, because at $20,000 a year, and this is why I don't think this person will ever do well as a YouTuber or anything else, because they don't have anything to offer. So, like, why am I so hard, about, property? Because in all honesty, property is just to live in.
Right.
That shouldn't be your source of income, is how other people live. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's like, oh, well, I own an apartment complex and and that's just, just for me personally, that's just not a good idea. And unless you're doing something with your property where it's commercial, and like commercial property, like I'm really into storage.
So here's the thing. What you said is, because when I was going to stop you and say a lot of people recommend real estate, but here's the thing. What you just said actually makes a lot of sense, because another real estate tycoon type guy that I follow says that, no, real estate is great, but don't do single family homes. You got to have at least 16 doors. And what you're saying is actually very, very aligned with what he said. He says his rule is, and for people who follow this online guy, you're already going to be able to guess, but one of his rules is never buy 2 doors. It has to be 16 doors or more commercial properties where you can really utilize the space.
Who's this guy? I have no idea who he is.
It's Grant Cardone. He's that sales guy.
I still don't know who he is.
Yeah, just a sales guy. But, he's popular on the internet. He's always hyping people up. But that's one of his rules is, don't buy a house, rent it, right? And then actually, if you're going to make money in real estate, you got to buy big deals. You got to buy multiple units, buy complexes, buy not a condo with HOA, buy the whole complex.
Oh God, I know, that's the worst, man. HOA is, dude, that's insane.
That's another scam right there.
Yeah, HOA is more than property taxes in California.
Yeah.
It's insane. But you know what's a really good, like, if you have to buy a house and then you want to rent it out, you know what you do? Short-term rentals. Dude, that's badass. Because in short-term rentals, you can charge by the night. Like a hotel.
Airbnb.
Like hotels around here, they cost about $300, $400 a night.
That's how it works.
Dude, that's prostitute money. So if you are going to do short-term rentals, and yeah, I'm all for that. But if you're just going to rent it out to some smug for like $1,000, well, but then again, rents in the Bay are crazy. You could rent out a house for like $3,000, which is awesome. But I mean, it's still not worth it. Because I could tell you a quick story. When I had a house and the sewage broke and it flooded the back house.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. Like I felt bad.
That's
I was
horrible.
like, oh man. And then it ended up that she got hepatitis from that.
Oh no.
From the exposure, because she cleaned it all up and I, like without knowing anything or anything like that, I said, look, don't even worry about paying me rent. You know what I mean? Because I said, look, you guys cleaned it up, and I said, you know what? Just don't pay me any more rent. I don't even care. Just stay here.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
because
definitely.
I was cool with them, they never sued. Like, because because she got sick from, that's my responsibility. And so in theory, I'm responsible for her getting hepatitis. I'm just assuming, because like when I seen her again, she goes, oh yeah. I said, how you doing? It's like, oh, I kind of got sick. I got hepatitis, and I almost died from the hepatitis. And I was like, oh. And then the first, I was like, God, I said, are you still married? And then, because like hepatitis, like for me, I always think like most people get hepatitis, get it from it's a sexually transmitted disease.
Sure.
Like drug addicts. And then about a month after, I was like, you know what? She probably got it from when the bathroom flooded.
All that, yeah, that unhygiene,
and I was like, holy crap.
Stuff.
And but I thought I dodged a bullet. You know what I mean? Because in theory, she would have been able to sue for like a couple of mil, and she would have got it. And gosh darn it. I mean, I got really lucky. But I mean, there's so many reasons why I don't like single family homes. And but because it's just not a way to make money. I mean, it is if you're looking at it, because because when people start investing in 401ks, that's such a sucker's way to make money. I'm going to put in a bank account every year. I max out my 401k. That's not how you make money. It's just not. It's just.
Well, what if
somebody else is doing it for you?
It can all fall apart too, and it can all tank. You could lose it all.
Yeah, like the way it did for all those guys in Berkeley, like Bernie Madoff. He had a lot of accounts, and all those people lost their money. Never going to get it back.
2008.
Yeah, no, and they're never going to get it back, and they can't rebuild it that fast. So, again, the first step is to come up with an idea. It doesn't have to be original.
Mm-hmm.
If you honestly believe you could open up a restaurant and you have food that's actually good, because I got a boy, he makes really good barbecue. He used to make barbecue at the Philadelphia Stadium. What's it called? Where the Philadelphia Eagles play. I forgot the name. Veterans Stadium. And his barbecue was considered the best in Philly, which is a really big deal. So if you know somebody, or if you cook that well where your food is that good, then yeah, figure it out how to make money, how much it's going to cost you. If it's going to cost you like $2 to make, and you can sell that, make yourself $10, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough for me, but it's, for a beginner, that's a good way to begin. And then the second step, like I said, is your marketing. You have to have your marketing in place. Yeah. And marketing is, as old as the Bible itself. You got to get your friends involved. Yeah, I mean, because if they're your friends, or if they're your fans, like in this case, the people listening, if you're honestly a fan, tell your friends. You got to get your friends. And if you believe in a product, you tell them why you like it. Look out for it, and boom, people start listening. It's the same thing with my boys' ribs. And I'm like, hey, look, these are some good ribs, like badass ribs, right?
The referral is going to be stronger than any online ad or paper ad.
Yeah, no, because F all that, even negative reviews. Like word of mouth between friends is much stronger than anything on Yelp, or Angie's List or whatever. And that's why you lay heavy on your friends, because a lot of people are afraid to quote unquote bug your friends. But that's not how it works, because usually, who's a friend and who's not. And I'll give a restaurant as an example. when you own a restaurant and your friends go into your restaurant and go, hey, I want a discount or want it for free. Those aren't your friends. Your friends want to see you succeed. So they will pay full price and tip heavy. Why? Right. Because they're your friends and they want to see you succeed. And that's the same thing with here. Friends of this show will go out and tell people, boom, Zach is the man. This and that, this and that, this and that. See, just lay it on thick with all the positive reasons why they like you. And then it spreads just like that. But when people who claim they're your friends and they start bagging on you for this, that guy, Professor Dreggy, has on his show is talking about fags and using the fag word all the time. And, those aren't your friends because one, they, if they're saying I'm saying this out of racism or bigotry or homophobia, they don't know it. You know what I mean? Just, I could say we talk about child pedophilia. It doesn't mean I'm for it. We're just talking about it.
Right.
We're not advocating for it or anything like that. It's just, this is just simple conversation. So, but that's how it works. Like, you have to honestly know. And then when I really think about it, it kind of goes back to religion. Let's
talk about it. No, I want to hear it.
No, but do you see the parallel? Like, who your friends are. Like in the restaurant, your friends will pay full price. They will not expect a discount, especially in the beginning. When you're first opening up, none of your friends should ever say, I want it for free. They should go there, bring their other friends, and pay full price and want to pay full price because they want to see you succeed. And it's kind of like with this radio show. This radio show will spread when people are very positive and sharing it with other like-minded people or just people in general who are going to like this show.
Well, you know what it is, and you're going to love this, because this comes from, it doesn't come from Romans, but it comes from Luke in the Bible about how business actually grows and gets built. And there's an example here about what you're talking about is basically the act of sharing. It's not really about business. It's actually about sharing. And this is actually, it triggered a thought because I was reading a thing this morning. I think it's Luke 19 about how back in Jesus's days, nobody liked tax collectors. Nobody liked tax collectors. If that was like, you could, yeah, but no one liked you, right? But there was this guy, Zacchaeus, in the book of Luke, where he wanted to hear what Jesus had to say. He's a tax collector, but he was a wealthy tax collector. And one of the big things was the idea that it was kind of like Jesus didn't say anything about like, hey, you got to clean up your act and then I'll come to your house and do business, right? It wasn't about doing business, about sharing the word, but it wasn't any of that. It was about sharing. It was just about sharing time, depending on where you're at. And I feel like that's one of those few examples in there, if you want to talk about religion, where the activity of just sharing, actually with just information, whether it's what you do, why you're there, is actually the first step. And it doesn't actually matter, is what I'm saying. See, here's the thing, but to take it back to your point, we're afraid to bug our friends about good things, about good news, about all these things, or you won't go to certain people who even have money because of your perception of them.
Exactly. See, and that's what I was going to say.
That's why it ties it back.
I was going to say that.
Huh?
I was literally going to say that. Seriously.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's a flaw in business. People don't do what you just said.
Yeah.
And that flaw in business also is the same flaw you see in religion. I mean, I don't care about like other religions, but because I'm glad it's the flaw in Islam or, the Jewish faith or Buddhism or whatever.
Because it's cultish. It's exclusive.
Because it's a cult, and cults don't need more people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in Christianity, people are afraid to actually talk about the positive sides of their religion. Seriously, how often do you hear anybody saying anything positive about their religion, even Christians? Because, oh my God, like the other day, we were talking about something, and then, so, you know, because like where I'm at, mostly everybody, we're all almost, without a doubt, almost everybody's an atheist. It's just how it works. It's like where I work, everybody's just a group of hardened men who just seen way too much. And you know what I mean? So like a lot of images are in their head.
Right.
And certain things you just can never get out of your head. And that's, you know, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people don't believe in God, but I believe it's just what they've seen around the world. It just disheartens him. But there's a couple of Christian dudes, and then they were debating this one, like, gosh darn it, it's like a Muslim guy. And, you know, so back and forth, they were talking. And then the argument came up like, oh, well, Christians had the Crusades killing all those people, and then they slaughtered all the Native American Indians in California.
No.
And they were like, well, everybody went through that period. And, you know, I'm like, in my head, I didn't say anything, but in my head, I was thinking, you guys should have like, if you just knew anything about the Crusades or why it started, because remember how we talked about how they started that one sect in the Catholic religion was
Sure.
to defend, you know, to act as guard. Like, it didn't start off because they wanted to kill everybody, but the people spreading the word of God were always getting slaughtered. So they just decided to create an army around, you know, to protect these. So it wasn't like it was a protection group. And it's the same thing that they do in Mexico. They rose up, got rid of all those drug dealers and whatever. They didn't kill them. They just, you know, just took up arms. And remember, we spoke about that on the previous podcast, how and they did it in the same way how they started the army to protect the priests.
Right.
And so anyway, but then every Christian person always falls into that same trap of like, well, you know, nobody's perfect. And I'm thinking, what? And I'm thinking, and you're a Christian and you don't even know how to spread the good words about Christianity. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if I really wanted to get into the debate, I would have said, you know what? In Romans, it says, you know, the carnal mind, this and that. So all that war and killing, that wasn't God. That wasn't Christianity. That was, you know, a bunch of people who were confused and
disobedient.
Yeah, but they don't do that. That's the thing. And that's why I believe, like, come on, there is no Christianity in the Bay Area anymore. I mean, if there is, I don't see it.
Yeah.
But there used to be, like, when I was coming up, it was really prevalent. And you know, like those people sharing meals or the hot chocolate from McDonald's that one time.
You're not going to find independent Baptists that go door to door spreading the good word. I mean, there's some people that do that. It's just few and far between.
Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons. And
no. This is Baptist, independent Baptist, not Jehovah's Witness is a totally different thing. But.
No, I know, but those are the only people I see. Like oh God, like you could just go around and you'll see. I don't want to say every day, but almost every day, you see these Jehovah's Witnesses just dressing up in their, you know, fancy clothes, and they go door to door passing out that watch. That's what it's called, the Watchtower. I don't know if you ever heard of the Watchtower magazine, but dude, that's what they do. They go door to door passing out the Watchtower, and I'm thinking, oh man. But you know what though?
Yeah.
Whoever invented the Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, they make those people pay up front for all of those watchtowers. Like
MLM.
Yeah, no, and then they just give it up for free. I'm thinking, man, what a scam. But it never goes anywhere. I mean, I don't know, but because they keep growing. But you know what I mean?
Sure.
But that's how business works. And I honestly believe, like, Christians need to do that. They need to get on the ball and try to figure out what was meant, like, what is multi-level marketing? Why should we all make money? How can we be charitable? Who should we not help? You know, and we spoke about that already, about how they're going to give free healthcare to everybody. That's insane. That's an insane thing to do. But then nobody's saying that. Like, there is no Christian that could explain why immigration is bad. You know, like they just don't get it. Why is it bad?
You just need to be informed. You know, I was talking to my dad over Father's Day, and we dived into some of these topics a little bit. But the whole, since you mentioned, what was it? Climate change? Is that what we just mentioned? Or you said something about that triggered the thought. I was thinking climate change, but the whole Green New Deal thing. Oh no, you're talking about giving everybody free healthcare or free money or
free
whatever.
healthcare.
Okay, but that's in line with AOC's so-called Green New Deal. And here's the funny thing about it. It's not it's got, I've learned that it's got nothing to do with anything. It has to do with the fact that that's an excuse. When people say let's combat climate change, it's not this is going to blow your mind. It's not about America ought to do something about the climate. It's not that. You know what it has to do with? It has to do with uniting all the world's nations to combat climate change. Because here's the deal. If you look into this, AOC's Green New Deal is not original. It came from an original UN proposal post-World War II about how, well, we got to get everybody together to combat climate change. But the only thing that stands in the way is the United States. Because the United States. And that's why when Trump pulls out of the Paris Agreement, all that stuff, why do you think it gets all these like socialists and globalists all pissed? The Green New Deal is nothing. It has nothing to do with actual business or having to create alternative energy sources. It has to do with relinquishing American sovereignty. But that's important from a business standpoint.
More than that, but this is like really important because I'm glad you brought this up. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about in previous episodes, how we have to stop international corporations and just make everybody franchise.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the reason why. What you're saying is absolutely true, but it wasn't to combat the United States. It was to get the U.S. to pay for everything. See, they wanted to do a global thing. Yeah, we want to stop global warming, but guess what? The United States needs to pay for everything. Dude, you do realize after World War II, our military bases were found in Germany, Japan, Italy, all up and down South. We were paying for the rebuilding of the entire planet after the war. Seriously, we had bases in the Philippines. We had bases everywhere. And so the UN goes, you know what we got to do? We got to get them to pay for global climate change as well. Let's get them to clean up the pollution.
That's why it's a myth, because
but hold on, but check this out. So when Trump pulled out of the Paris Accords, why did he do it? Did he do it because he wants global warming and all this other crap? No, he met every single standard of the Paris Accord. Seriously, Trump was able to do it. But the reason why he pulled out was because he didn't want America to pay for Europe. Seriously, why would Trump pay for that? Think about that. Trump pulled out. The United States has met every single standard set forth by the Paris Accord. See, nobody knows this. Mm-hmm. But it's the truth. We have met every single standard. But guess what? We're not going to pay for Mexico to meet the standard. We're not going to pay for China to meet the standard. I mean, China's not even a part of it, but you know what I mean? But that's what they want. They want us to pay for everybody and everything. But the truth should have been, hey, look, we are a country that can do this because we are a Christian nation. A true Christian nation, not like some kind of weird Christian thing, but a real Christian nation that honestly does business the way it's set out in the New Testament.
Right.
And that's what I think Trump is doing. Like, Trump is doing things, and he's not, but nobody, I mean, I'd be shocked if anybody knew this outside of this radio program, but it's the truth. If anybody decides to do the research, has the United States met the standards of the U.S. Paris Accord, that global warming crap? And the answer would be, yeah, we did meet it. So what's the big deal? Why is everybody pissed off that we pulled out? Because the whole point was to what you said. They wanted the U.S. to pay for it with whatever. And it's a bunch of crap. Why in the hell should we pay for it? You know what I mean? It's China's not giving us money.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, and people are thinking, well, why are you guys getting political right now? I thought this was a business show. Don't you realize that right there, what Trump did as a businessman, is a form of leverage, capital, and that's what you need to understand is if you have all of that together, right? America has been, I guess, allowing itself to become indebted to other nations, ballooning it up for something that's completely fabricated. And when AOC comes out and goes, oh, we need to combat climate change, world's going to end in 12 years. It's got nothing to do with anything but to get America to pay for all of these things and to relinquish its own sovereignty. The only thing that's standing in the way is America and Christianity when it comes down to progressive and global,
But to add to what you're
agendas.
saying, you got to think like this. Whenever you hear AOC say things like that, or any person who's like, oh, the world's going to end, the first thing that happens is, I don't want to engage in business because my consumerism is adding to the global warming. Because if you're a consumer, guess what? You're participating in global warming. You know what I mean? And that's just a reality. And so a lot of people are so disengaged that they don't want to participate in our society. Why? They don't want to be a consumer. Why? Because they believe the world's going to end in 12 years because plastic is somehow, some way going to create, some kind of, like, seriously, people really believe plastic is going to destroy the planet and all this other stuff. It's just insane. It's people honestly believe our natural waste is somehow, some way going to destroy the planet. And it just makes no sense. And the thing is, when you're not motivated to engage in just regular commerce, you're going to be screwed, and your business is going to be screwed. And that's why you got to recognize, like, I don't want to say you can't do business with people who are like, believe in global warming and all this other stuff, but it's going to be difficult to do business with these people because they're idiots. Because think about this, like, let's talk about Tesla cars, just because I know we got to end soon, but I hope this isn't a big tangent.
No, don't worry. Go ahead.
Tesla cars are, a joke. Like this, they are a joke. Everybody, Tesla is like, oh, this great car and all this other BS. But like Bill Blur made a joke that, that basically Teslas look like a Nissan Maxima.
It kind of does, actually.
Get over it. It's $140,000 to buy a Nissan Maxima, but the car itself can go, 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds or something like that. That's incredible.
Wow, that's really fast.
Yeah, a 4-door Nissan Maxima going that, because that's what electricity can do. Electricity is super fast, and that's the future. But is that really going to help, quote unquote, global warming? The answer is no.
No. We've already established in previous episodes, and also science confirms this, where the carbon footprint, if you even want to call it that, of producing even a Prius, is worse than
just think about producing that type of electricity. Because
lithium-ion batteries, man, they don't break down very well. Yeah,
no, but just to produce electricity is so insane that you got to be.
It's better to have something burn rather than
no, but seriously, you have to be a dunce to not realize how much, quote unquote, fossil fuel is being burned to make electricity.
And we've also already established the fact that if you really know much about the atmosphere, that, it's the God shield. It literally is the God.
Field.
Huh?
It's a real force field.
Yeah. So your emissions are minuscule compared to that thing. My dad and I were talking about this earlier, and we were marveling at it, because here's the deal, right? If we think about how ridiculously not just thick in layers and composed the atmosphere is, you have to absolutely acknowledge Genesis 1 because of the fact of this. What happens to everything that gets put into the atmosphere, and also anything that tries to penetrate the atmosphere? It burns. It completely gets incinerated. The fact that when you think like objects come in and actually try to penetrate the atmosphere, they burn up before they even have a chance to get to a relative level where it's harmful, is ridiculous. It's literally like this miracle force field because anything that tries to escape burns or needs to have an incredible amount of thrust. Anything that tries to come in also burns. So you really think that based off of that, and with emissions and all that, granted, yeah, pollution is a thing, but pollution is in that little area.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, LA is in a valley. So yes, you're going to have pollution where it's like in that little concentrated area based off of how things are set up, it's going to be like that. But I mean, on a global standpoint with our atmosphere, the fact that it's, what is it, 100 miles thick? 100 miles thick.
Insane. No, but seriously, it is.
It's a God shield, and that there a whole 80% of that is nitrogen gas, and you got carbon dioxide. But even when we say something like, I don't know, is it 4%?
No, not even that. It's 0.0.
0.04%.
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah,
you've got more oxygen in the atmosphere than you've got carbon dioxide. I don't know what everybody's worried about.
It is like it's point. Okay, so it's 1% argon and 0.4%, I believe.
But see, here's the thing that we also talked about. I don't want to tangent too hard, but it actually plays into the whole propaganda with climate change in business, right? Because you can land. Here's the thing. Think about how precise your calculations have to be just to go through re-entry into the atmosphere. You have to hit it at a certain point, otherwise you burn up and die. That shows you the God shield right there. It's easier for you to land a probe on Mars than it is to land something on Earth coming in.
Yeah, I know. People are stupid.
There's no atmosphere on Mars. That's why there's no rain on Mars. That's why there's no weather on Mars. That's why it's the same day in, day out. I mean, you got day and night because of, just shadows and stuff, but climate, think about how complex that stuff is. That's why it's like when you talk about it in Genesis, it's like, dude, like look around you. Like nothing could have. That's not. Yeah, I don't want to get all religious, but nothing could have created it like that. It's the atmosphere is literally like my big okay, God exists. It's literally a God shield.
Yeah, no, literally. But you want to know what's funny? Like going back to Genesis, it's funny how it's documented how life used to be before atmosphere and after atmosphere. Yeah. Night and day. That's why it's amazing. Like, I don't know, I just thinking about stuff like that makes me my head want to explode, but because it's tricky. No, because it's like it really does well that's the other thing too, well, I know it's almost the end, but because the natural question would be, how do you get ideas? And because I know we got to end this, but you know what? The best place to get ideas, I swear to God, is in the Bible. I don't care what, look at Marvel Comics. How many times do they have biblical references as they have the Avengers, they have this one series called Original Sin. You know what I mean? And Thor, Thor from the Avengers, he became unworthy to carry his magical hammer. Yeah. And it was part of the Original Sin theories. And that's the thing. So it's like, look, no idea is original. Because I was always because, even in my poetry, I was original thought, not sought. And, but in reality, every idea has already been thought of before. And it's just a matter of just, one, you got to get over yourself because nothing's original. Everybody has done it. You can be an innovator. You can innovate something, but no idea is original. It's already been done. And that's why it's like, you know what? I said before, I went to the Bible because I needed some ideas. So when I did, I was like, holy crap, and I opened it up and it was like
all the money making ideas you'll ever need is already
but not just money making ideas, just scientific ideas as well. It's like, holy crap, it gives you clarity. So it's amazing. But yeah, you're right, money making, like the Bible really is a good book to understand the psychology of business, because a lot of people don't understand the psychology of business.
Right.
That's all that is. You got to believe it first. If you don't believe in yourself, then you're screwed. I'm pretty sure.
True. You're not going to get money from those people who got money if you can't even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's the truth. I mean, come on. That's why the rich people exist. Rich people exist to take a chance on people they believe in. And if you can't if you don't believe in anything, then how in the hell is why would anybody give you money if you don't believe in anything? And that's why it's like, going to the Bible is a pretty good and safe bet to get your ideas. And so anyway, so like I'll wrap things up with final thoughts. But first and foremost, understand basic math. You have to come up with an idea that you can prove with basic
Seems
math.
pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, you would think it's obvious, but it's not. People don't understand. That's why I brought that lottery story, because everybody thinks, oh, the lottery, there has to be some kind of complicated math behind. No, it's basic math. It's, to pick the numbers, it's 7 factorial to win all 7. But if you're just guessing 3 numbers and there's only a 7, there's a lot of ways to win.
Yeah.
When you do basic math, you just buy a lot of tickets. You don't need to win the big thing. Just win a whole bunch of little $50 here and there, and it adds up. Not everyone's going to be a winner, but everybody proved you should be getting 60% on your return. But that's neither here nor there. So if you understand basic math, even things that seem insurmountable can be conquered, because you have that skill of understanding basic math. Second thing you have to have is a good network of friends who honestly believe in you. Not these suckers that are always going to be talking crazy, but real people who honestly believe. And you get those people to spread the word about what you're doing. Forget about advertising. I mean, you need a little bit of advertising, but you really do need your friends to spread this first. Mm-hmm. Because it's those people who are always going to be positive. But if you go spend money in advertising and then you got like 10, 12 people, I mean, seriously, 10 or 12 people can destroy you if you don't have any friends. Because think about all those negative reviews on Yelp, everybody talking crazy about you, and they've never been to your store, and they just don't like your advertising because you're selling, you told somebody no, like, hey, I'm not going to make your penis cake. You know what I mean? And they could destroy you. So you need your friends. I don't care what business you are. You could be selling, devil cakes, a satanic worshiper type of guy, but you got to be around those people. You know what I mean? Because
you're talking about niching down, but yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
yeah, but I don't know what even that niching down means, but it's the truth. That's how it's done. Right. You rely on your friends, and then your friends will spread the word. Just like the podcast, everybody listening should, if they honestly, believe in this show and believe in you, they will spread this word. Yeah. And then the third thing, is to honest to God. The third thing you have to do is I don't want to say like, but you honestly have to do based on the Christian belief of being able to strip yourself down. Like you can't be tied in to, because you know what I mean? Like you have to know when to give up if you're failing.
Yeah. Because
you always got to have an exit strategy. And we didn't really talk about exit strategies, but you got to know how. I mean, gosh, Don, I know we're running late, but
right, I gotta
there's
go.
a reason why they said about the camel going through the eye of the needle. Yep. It's to strip yourself down when things are going bad. You got to have that ability, because if you don't have an exit strategy, because you can't. Can you imagine this? Like you got a boy who has a business. Let's just go for the restaurant business. And for 5 years, his food sucks. But he doesn't, because you guys keep supporting him and stuff like that. But at some point, you got to realize, hey, look, I don't want to put my friends through this. I don't want to, you know what I mean? And just take your losses.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that you got to have a real honest to God exit strategy. Because if not, then you're going to be screwed. Because that's, I mean, I know it doesn't say that in the Bible, but there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of reasons why he talked about that camel in the eye of the needle. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't like some kind of miracle thing when you got this big old 2-ton animal going through a little hole when you're sewing. The eye of the needle was this archway, and it's a lot of work to unload this camel to go through, because the archways were small. Right. It wasn't like this big giant archway. It was like a big thing when a rich dude, like, because camels are like horses, they carry a whole bunch of crap. And it just didn't fit. So you have to unpack, let the camel through, carry all your crap through, and then load them up again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's a lot of work to let something go. And you know, you got to learn all of these things in order to be successful. So like I said before, if somebody really has ideas, dude, email the show. And we'll go into detail about it. I'll break it down and do the math if they need it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, well,
it's possible.
You heard it here first, folks. So yeah, if you have any further ideas, feel free to let us know. We do have to wrap this up though. So thank you guys for listening in to what we had to say today, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Take care.